I'm Miss Cranfill, and this is Miss Bullock, and today we're going to talk to you about our practice for the Equitable Practices professional development that we did this semester. So Holly and I had using multiple approaches to monitor student understanding.
A simple way of stating that is these are activities that track student learning in order to drive our instruction as well as provide feedback for students. Okay, so you'll notice here at the top of the triangle, or pyramid I should say, is the summative assessment, but what forms the base below that is the pre-assessment and then also the formative assessment that takes place as we go through our classwork and learning the skills and concepts.
Okay, so how do we measure our effectiveness? And we looked at this from both the teacher and the student side. On the teacher side, we are going to pre-assess using unit standards. So we want to throw out the standards and see what they already know about what we're going to teach them. Then we want to utilize equitable and varied strategies for formative assessment. So changing up the ways that we teach, using different activities, making sure they're varied so that the students are challenged, but also that they're varied in order to meet all the needs. And then the last step is to create summative assessments that reflect unit standards. So again, starting with those unit standards, finishing with the unit standards, and making sure that each step of the way they understand what's happening. On the student end, they are going to be responsible for accessing prior knowledge and applying it to new concepts because everything will seem new at first. They will be hopefully engaged with their content every step of the way with the varied and equitable strategies, and then they will be asked to demonstrate understanding of the unit standards.
So you're probably wondering, how does this align with my teacher evaluation tool? Well, it turns out that it actually aligns in several different spaces. 2D, where we as teachers adapt instruction for our students with special needs. Will fit nicely there, as well as several areas in Part 4, which 4A knows ways in which learning takes place, plans instruction appropriate for our students, as well as using a variety of ways to assess what our students have learned.
This continues the 4G, which is teachers communicate effectively with students, so whatever we're saying, we make sure that they actually understand it. 4H, use a variety of ways to assess what each student has learned, so again, sort of changing up the ways that we assess so that we make sure each student has a fair shot. And then 5A, that we analyze student learning, that after everything is said and done, we reflect on if they actually understood what we intended.
So, some implementation plans. One of the things that we noticed was really for us, this is more of a reflection on our strategies as we go through. So there are two pieces to this. There's the construct validity. And what construct validity does is it ensures that our assessments are actually measuring the intended concept or skill. So a perfect example of this in English would be something like looking for rhetorical strategies. We would want to make sure that we're assessing that particular skill, not the student's ability to comprehend the text. In math, it could be something along the same lines, that particular skill, but making sure that it's simplified so that the student might be able to complete it a little more easily. Also, we want to look at the inter-rater reliability. And what this means is that independently, evaluators would rate student work similarly. And each one of these kind of runs, the construct validity runs with the backward design, whereas the inter-rater reliability runs with school-wide expectations. So this, we'd be able to make sure that we're getting our standards met by, starting with the standards first and then moving forward. And then this, if Katie is in my room, she should be able to see me checking for student understanding the exact same way that I would check for it in her classroom. Also, we might want to use interrelated rubrics for writing assignments.
Thanks.